Welcome to Mams Talk, where Mams Talk Survivor. With me today is our signature ma'am, Jessica, and a new ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Who are
This
you?
is I'm Allie. Hello.
And how do we know you?
You can catch me on not only Survivor Manhattan, but also Survivor Season 2, Survivor Skinny Atlas.
Gotcha. So you were actually in this production that we're discussing today, episode 2.
There was.
Unfortunately, Liam could not be with us today. Shout out to him. So you are the replacement. Um,
Yeah, I
the
will try to do
voice.
this.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. So we open with the Succulents, part of your tribe. Um, they're having a good time. They're eating
Yeah,
their rice.
and silly.
Gabby just brought some rice. Is that what happened?
Yeah, this is for those who don't know personally our dear friend Gabby. This is like the most Gabby thing possible in that she will like commit to the bit of bringing rice, which is very funny, but also provide, be motherly, give us everything that we would need. And she just gave little tiny portions of rice,
Did you
which
guys get
Well, she
more
was,
rations later?
we kind of forgot about the bit once the game got more real.
Yeah.
I did notice in rewatch that like this the beginning of this episode, it's very clear that all of us are still like, LOL, we're playing Survivor, how silly. And then by the end of the episode, it's become very real, which we'll talk about more. But I think that the
Yes.
evolution occurred over the course of this time frame.
Yeah, I should also state, we forgot to tell you this before, but these episode deep dives live within the episode. So we're not going to talk about
Gotcha.
anything
We're
that
just
happens
going moment by moment.
afterwards. We can reference things that happened before, but this is more of a companion piece to episode 2.
Gotcha.
Um,
Understood. So I'll zip lips about future moments.
but yeah, okay, so you guys are having a little fun. You're not really taking the game too serious yet because you haven't ended up voting anyone out yet. And
We're sitting
Gabby and
pretty.
Olivia are looking for an idol and have been since minute 1, so
Yeah.
it seems. What were your thoughts like from episode 1 going into episode 2 in terms of like the idol hunting so profusely?
Yeah, so out the gate, I mean, I this for episode 1 was released very quickly before we filmed this, so I haven't had a chance to watch your deep dive. But yeah, like right out the gate, the succulents were searching, especially Gabby, because she was like, I mean, we're in such close quarters, we just gotta start searching, I guess. So there was kind of this underlying urgency to find an idol and be the first one to find it. I looked my best, and that's what I did. But at that point, I was already kind of over the idol search. I gotta be honest. I was just kind of like, I'll get along without it, I guess. But Gabby and Olivia were searching hard the whole time. I remember seeing them going off, which made me also nervous that there was like an alliance brewing. That was what I saw from an outside perspective. They're looking for idols, but they're always off together. What's going on there? What's happening there?
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because then you and all the rest of the girls form an all-girls alliance, but you also have your alliance, Bad Bitches Only, with
Yes.
CJ and Caroline.
Yes.
iconic
That's
name for an alliance, by the
great
way.
name. The girls, no name, just girls,
Girls
all
Just
Alliance.
girls
girls.
again.
Yes.
Um, at this point, like, where did you stand in terms of like loyalty?
At this point, my loyalty was to Bad Bitches Only because at this point in the game, and I think that this is a moment where outside relationships kind of affect things. I viewed Gabby as the number one threat. I thought that she was like, she needed to go, and I couldn't be closely aligned with her because she was like too strategic and too smart and too like forward thinking. So I was like, oh, and I didn't know Caroline super well. Like I knew her a little bit, and I knew CJ to be like a nice, fun guy who I'm close friends with. So I thought that he could be kind of easily would go along with the plan was my perception. Whether that's true or not, we'll find out. And I thought that it was a good idea to get Caroline because she was kind of on the outs of the group because she wasn't close friends with anybody in the tribe. So my closeness and my internal loyalty was very much with bad bitches only at the time, especially because we had way more women than men. So a girls alliance, I was kind of like, I guess, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that's necessarily where my brain wants to go because I don't think the men are as much of a threat as the women.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting. You guys went like deep into the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even know those were back there.
I was like, are we hiking for these idols? And then I really should have thought Kay isn't gonna hike. She isn't gonna hike to hide these.
Oh.
No, obviously not. But in no world was I like, oh, it's probably just like in different places in the around the camp or like
Probably in like the closest tree.
sites, the closest tree probably. No, I was like, she went deep. She hid these as far and as remotely as possible. And that's what
I will say. We on the I won't talk too much about spoilers or anything, but we were looking in also far too complicated of places for the idols, given the situation that we were in, which was literally just like a semicircle of grass and then woods. So I think that was people were taking it a bit too seriously with the idol hunting, I think.
I think so. And people also weren't like thinking laterally enough. Like people weren't I think people just thought that they were going to be like hidden really well and not thinking creatively about like where they might be. And again, not keeping in mind that in no world did you have time to go hiking to hide immunity idols like the morning of the game when you were setting up by yourself.
Certainly not. I do think it's interesting. Olivia knows she's at the bottom of the girls.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, all girls, but also like need to be aware that like I'm certainly gonna be the first one gone once like Liam and CJ are gone. In her mind at least.
Yeah.
Whether that comes to fruition, we'll find out.
Yeah, I do think that's a fair assumption for her to make though, considering like I think all of us went in thinking that like our personal relationships outside the game were gonna mean a lot. And like the only person she knew was Liam, really. So I think it's totally a fair jump to make with the circumstances she was given.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would probably feel similarly in her situation. And I did feel comfortable because I had close relationships going into the game, which was that a good choice? Was that a bad choice? Who's to say? But that is how I felt in the moment.
Okay, so we cut to the dragon fruits. We don't get like a lot out of you guys because I think you just recorded that one little video. But give us a little insight.
Yeah, I was thinking about this while watching it, how stupid we were because like the second we had that super stressful pre-tribal conversation, we like didn't know what we were doing. We were like, we have no time. We win the challenge, and then we're like,
no, before that. We haven't done the challenge yet.
Oh,
yes, cut that out.
This has all happened before the challenge.
Right.
You meant like this is your after tribal thoughts.
Right. Okay. Well, I think the thing with that is just tribal's like an adrenaline rush and you're not expecting it to be so scary. And I think that you can kind of tell that we're really like wired on the post tribal adrenaline, that we're not really like actually talking about anything worth talking about.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
We do mention the potential threat of Gabby and CJ being a power couple, which I think is interesting that we're already thinking about that.
Because that's what
I mentioned this in the past deep dive. Yeah, I mentioned this in the past deep dive that we just did, but like Dom was kind of marked for like being voted out more easily than anyone else simply because he had a really easy, like it was just like a scapegoat for who could be the first boot, really. The person who's on the tribe with his wife, like it's really easy to just get him out like that. And I think we thought that like once you guys had to go to tribal at some point, we were like, oh, it'll probably be Gabby or CJ who gets gone,
So the challenge is about to start, and the girlies come in with the Camp Rock esque entrance, suck off, actually, which did not seem to rub the dragon fruits in the right way
No,
at
it
all.
doesn't.
I thought you were gonna say it didn't seem at all to rub us the wrong way.
It didn't seem at all.
We seemed so happy about it.
You seem really happy.
I will say,
about it.
from a production standpoint, I love it, and I want to see like more of that going forward. Like, it's giving. What did they do that in Nicaragua? I think like they try to do like a little. They're like La Flor, and then like it's the young
Yeah.
people versus the old people, and the young people come in and they're like, "We're doing a little dance," and the old people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
That's what it was giving.
Yeah.
In the moment,
I think it was.
Mhm.
So I was just gonna say, I think that, tribe pride, great to have. I think when it's being rubbed in the face of the people who just came off of voting someone out, it's not necessarily going to be received well. But yes, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that decision, Allie.
Yeah. So in the moment, and this becomes a running theme for me specifically, which is not really a spoiler because you see it kind of in the first episode as well. In the moment, I thought that it was just kind of like a fun, competitive, silly thing to do. And I don't think any of us quite had an understanding of how real the game feels once you vote somebody off. Because all of us were just like, whatever, we're playing a game. Like, let's be silly. Let's be competitive. Let's, tell our friends to suck off and make a little pun. However, I think that after, like in future episodes, I would not necessarily feel that way or do that. But there's just a running theme of Survivor Manhattan Alley being an extremely sore winner, which we've talked about offline, for very little reason. A lot of times it has nothing to do with my ability at all. It's just me, being really like antagonizing and
Are you saying
thinking
you're not the strongest competitor on the team?
well, I guess that's yet to be seen.
We'll find out.
We'll find out about
You're
that.
not the one. You're not at liberty to say
I'm not
you're the strongest.
But yeah, I think in the moment, which again we've discussed, I had an idea that I was like an underdog. So the idea of me being like competitive and loud was charming, but in the edit it really comes off as just like mean-spirited and antagonizing. And I do feel that I have repented and changed my ways. So it was hard. It was hard to watch this episode and be like, oh, there she is. She's been saying those things.
Yeah. So
I think
that. Sorry, go ahead.
I just think it's so funny that you, like, in the moment thought that you could be seen as an underdog when we had just had to vote our first person out. Like, it's just so
she's in her Delulu era.
Like, y'all are chilling at your camp, hunting for idols, eating little grains of rice, and we're over here like, and you're like, underdog era.
We're like rice time, having a little fun. Yeah, I do think that that's chalked up mostly to having no idea what it feels like to vote somebody off.
Yeah. All right.
Again,
so
era. Anyways.
So we get into the reveal that Dom has been voted out. And there is shock and awe amongst the succulents. A lot of just like, oh my God, it's Dom. And then he shows up to a
iconic moment. I was laughing so hard watching that again.
Yeah.
The camera work.
The camera work, yeah. And his weird little face that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's revealed there, and then CJ says something along the lines of he seems like he would have been really helpful in the challenges, and Jess snaps back in her little Ice Queen era, saying something like, well, we know our dynamics and you don't, so I don't know why you're speaking on it.
I talked a little bit about this in the last deep dive, this like villain character that I wanted to play coming into this game. It's really funny to watch and also very embarrassing to watch. However, I do think I was feeling extremely wound up by the display of poor sportsmanship that we had just witnessed.
Yes.
And we were very like, I was ready to combat some of the comments,
Clearly. Also something I need to shout out, because this is the point where Dom is helping a little bit with production. He's holding the camera. Poor boy, he's breathing so hard behind the camera. I don't know if anyone could hear that. He's like, meanwhile, like, you and I don't know whoever's talking, like, that's all I could focus on was just the like.
I did not notice it, but I'll have to go back.
Well, close viewers.
Yeah. This is a call out.
Quickly want to mention, I don't think that you mentioned Liam being like, oh, so we have to vote people off.
Oh yeah. That was in first episode. But yeah,
no, that was in this episode. I just watched it.
Oh really?
Yeah, that was it was.
He was like, man,
yeah, it was.
I was like, Liam, who do you think is gonna like, get voted off? And he was like, oh, they're voted. We have to vote people off.
Oh yeah, no, you're so right.
Yeah, right.
I just don't know how you could come to a Survivor event and not look up the basics of how to play the game.
He's so sweet.
Yeah, I feel
like so sweet.
I know. I feel like we culturally just like are all born with the knowledge that you vote people off of Survivor.
I do think it's in the zeitgeist.
I also did recommend that everyone at least watches a season.
Yes.
So
but it's quite funny. Liam, having primarily spent time playing team sports, is obviously coming in with a team mentality. And I like that after he says like, oh, I just want our team to get far, like that's what he's focused on.
I wonder what he thought was gonna happen. Like, did he think it was just like a little tournament? Like we were gonna play different games?
He thought that it was like whatever team wins the most challenges wins.
Probably. And you have to be sent back into camp every time you do a challenge.
Just to rest.
To bond.
And when I said things like, and you'll have to see me at tribal council, like, I wonder what he thought that meant.
Just like a place.
It's like a debrief.
Just like, we're just gonna talk.
Yeah, just talk about how you can do better next time.
It's very genuinely adorable.
Yeah, I thought it was really sweet, but I was also like, oh, like I'm not like anyway, but I was very much like, oh, bless your heart. Like, you don't know what.
Well, it's funny because you ask him, you're like, so who do you think they're gonna vote off? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, wait, they have to vote someone on? Oh, poor baby. All right, sorry we did skip over that. I'm so sorry.
I just felt like it had to be discussed.
It did. So yeah, the challenge is about to begin. Liam sits out due to his past injury.
Yes.
And injuries, you could say.
He's left in a chair with an advantage. This is another point where him never having seen the show is to his detriment.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one point he's literally left completely alone with it. He has nothing to do but look for an idol. Like, even if he wasn't even trying, like, he could have just been standing up and just seen it, whatever. But it's just like his brain's not there. And then so the challenge starts. Liz is screaming.
Screams heard around Central.
I noted the screaming as well. It was so funny to watch. It was also crazy to experience. Like, I just remember standing there being like, is everything okay?
Yeah, it's also interesting because I feel like in the first challenge, she was kind of looked at as like the most helpful in the challenge. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the point where she is seen a little bit of a weaker side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think that like as it was happening, I like remembered in instances in like real life with Liz where she like will fully scream like that if she's like frightened or startled. And I was like, oh, okay.
I see this kind
and
of.
I also thought it was funny I thought it was funny she's paired up with Caroline too, just because them two,
they're like close friends.
Was really
yeah.
Well, they know each other from a past season, as Liz stated.
So obviously, because there is screaming at such a high frequency, the Christian music group who
Yes.
had a permit to be there,
Yes.
kindly walked up to us
Mhm.
and was like, "Hey, can you please
Yeah,
maybe
they're like in the middle of worship, and we're like,
they're recording
Yeah.
something."
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were filming something. So, you know, and we were like pretty close to them, and you can hear it, like it's pretty clear.
yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we're so sorry. Like we'll move." And then this is just like behind the scenes moment. There's a random man in the park who got mad on our behalf that they
Right.
asked us to move.
Right. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember
We were
this.
like, it's okay.
He was like, they don't own this park. We can be here just as much as they can. I'm like, but they had a permit. We
Like
don't. We're actually the
courtesy.
ones who maybe are towing the line of legality here.
No, we're fine because you can have less than 25 people. Just
I
want to
was
put
just
that out
gonna
there.
say, I think it is less
Just want to
than
put that out there.
everything was above board. Don't worry, New York City Park.
Well, we did stake something into the ground.
Cut that out. Cut that out.
Cut it out. Cut it out.
Cut it out,
Yeah,
cut the
we
cameras.
move, and this is where I think things get a little intense. I think it's amped
Yeah.
a little bit. We hear comments from Olivia such as "punch her,"
Yes.
followed by Liz saying "kiss her."
I like that. Yeah.
There's a lot of references to like go for like the crotch.
Oh wait. Sorry, I wanted to talk about before we moved, actually, because I did think it was interesting. The Christian music group waited until after Liz was done. There was still too much noise after the screaming. So Allie and Dylan,
Yes.
was it you two?
Again,
You're around. You
yeah.
say fuck you at least twice.
Yeah, no, I noted that as well. I wrote that in my notes. Again, a really good showing of good sportsmanship. I say fuck you if I win. I say fuck you if I lose.
You
really
said fuck you as you stepped up to the playing
I say
area.
fuck you if I'm about to play.
Yeah.
Really embarrassing to watch. Yeah. I do. I know that
we gotta keep a tally.
Yeah, a tally of a fuck you tally.
Yes.
I do think that Liz is the one who perked up the ears of the Christian music group, but I do think that I was in fact the straw that broke the camel's back.
They're like, well, we can't have profanity.
Yeah.
We were also like all cheering, like we were all very into the, you know, the team alliance that was happening, that like we got really hype when people won and lost. So I think that it was just loud overall. But yeah, I did think it was interesting that they were like, they gave us another chance to maybe quiet down once Liz finished, and we didn't do it well enough.
It wasn't enough far. And I understand
it was better when we moved. It was fine.
I also have to say, my memory of the challenge was that immediately I lost against Dylan. However, I think that all of us held our own pretty well.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't,
definitely.
I had the perception that you guys were like destroying us, but I think it was better matched than my memory serves.
It definitely was.
But
yeah, it was, there were some close calls for sure.
Yeah. So once we move over there, I did note that I think things started to get a little more intense with the comments. Also, to me, if I didn't know them personally, I would have watched the Gabby Ella matchup and been like, oh, they have real life beef.
Yeah, like they hate each other.
Yeah.
Like their faces were so intense. I was like, oh, they hate each other.
Yeah, it got real. It got real with
scary.
them. And I think
really
Ella had mentioned that Gabby was like slapping, like not slapping, but like whacking her a little bit to like get around her. It was very intense.
They're both very competitive souls, and that really came out.
Yeah,
it was a good match.
Yeah,
Ella does get it. And then Jess goes up against Olivia.
Yeah,
and
I wrote that tensions are high during this matchup, but not just among me and Olivia, among the entire collective.
And
we have some
that says it. I think Dylan maybe I think Ella says like, oh, be careful because Jess has arthritis.
Yes,
Jess has an injury. She has an injury. She's saying it in very like jokingly, like, oh well, you should just go easy on her because she has an injury, like, and like just throwaway comment.
And then there's Allie being not sympathetic to your condition.
Not at all.
She's in this competition just like the rest of us.
No, I was being an ally
And
to the disabled community.
So true. You were trying to uplift me.
Yes.
Yeah.
As my
Yeah.
other friend who has a disability, I told him that he has to sit out of the game because he's on my team. I said, I do not want to get hurt. But
I
you,
also yeah, I also can't remember. I'm pretty sure I don't think it's on the video, but I remember Olivia said something about like we just have to push them over or something to that
yes.
effect. If I'm remembering right. And then I remember Kay was like, no pushing anybody over. And I was very scared that I was going to get pushed over because I was like worried I was gonna injure myself if I
Yeah.
fell. And then I fall.
well, because Olivia
and
goes for the crotch grab.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember getting scared in that moment. I was like, oh, this is getting a little too real. And then when Cece and Zach are going at it, I hear myself in the background. I wrote this down. Nut shot, nut shot. And then I say, no, don't actually.
Yeah, things were getting a little too real.
Yeah.
Also, CJ goes to put out his hand. Zach's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It will not be shaking your hand.
I think he thought it was a trick. I feel like he thought he was being set
maybe.
up. If you go back and watch the video, I, for some reason, this whole time, the whole competition, really, I heard it at least once in the first episode, I go, yeah! Or like, whoa! Or something like that.
Your Mario character.
I was really excited. Which is totally compatible with the villain character I was playing, by the way. Definitely makes sense.
I'm remembering that I also think I wanted to be a villain. But I was not playing a character. I was just being bad and not in the way that I wanted to be, like a fun villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're
yeah,
really
another thing that happened behind the scenes was like between like one of the competitions. I think it was honestly after this competition. I was getting water and I was just like saying hi. I passed Allie on the way back and I was saying hi to her and I was like, oh, like, how are you doing? And she was like, I'm great. Actually, I'm great. How are you doing? And that was when I was like, all right, she's taking this really seriously.
I think everybody needs to keep in mind, Jessica, one of my best friends on God's green earth. Also, we're doing this starts out, this whole thing started out as like basically a birthday party for Kay. Like it's Kay's birthday. And I'm like, fuck you, fuck everybody. Like, I'm not friends with any of you.
I like genuinely just wanted to know if you were having fun. You're like, I'm actually great. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
All right. We've spent a lot of time on the me trying to get the out.
Yeah, sorry.
I do implore people to
go back and listen to it.
Yeah, go back and listen to it. It's worth it. It's a really great sound. She sounds like Princess Peach.
No, Daisy.
Oh,
Princess Daisy.
Daisy.
Let's not get that twisted.
Okay.
I also wanted to say,
yep.
Well, I wanted to talk about those the people on the blanket watching us, which I just noticed in the video that you shared. I was like, what are they thinking about what we're doing right now? I think it's so funny. Anyway, moving on.
So we finish out, it's Dylan and Caroline, and Dylan goes for the coochie grab, which I think once the first potential like coochie grab was happening, I should have been like, we're done with that. No nut shots.
Yeah.
But he does do it. It clearly startles Caroline a little bit. But I think she composes herself well here. But Dylan does come out with the win for the dragon fruits because he's quick and confusing. Use Caroline's tactic.
Yeah, I did write. Yeah, I wrote Dylan is so scary.
And Dylan was so scary.
Which he was.
Yeah, he was very scary.
So you guys get your first win. And we're heading back to camp. And Liam has heard the news that his team has lost.
Yeah.
He also reveals in this moment that he hit his head again yet the day before at work.
Yes, yes, he does reveal that. And for the viewers who don't know, Liam does have like a chronic traumatic brain injury from so many concussions that he's gotten during sports and other activities. So he's very, very prone to like severe concussions that ruin his life.
Yeah, and then so Liam and CJ are talking about getting Gabby out. And Gabby wants Liam out.
Yes.
And she tells the girls, you're all talking about it, and it seems like CJ also gets swayed in that way. Because they want to focus on challenges.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I do think that's true. And in rewatching the episode, well, I guess we can talk about this more when I like the confessionals happen, because CJ's confessional jogged a memory in me that I don't think was filmed, or one of our conversations.
Gotcha. So that's what happens at least before we go to the dragon fruits, who are feeling themselves. They get one.
Yeah, we're feeling good.
And they're like, we got
I think
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we were like, I think that for me, I felt like it was almost like once we lost the first challenge, like I realized that we were not, and I know we only lost on the puzzle, but I just like looking at the two tribes, I just was like, I don't think we're physically matched up. So the fact that we had won like a physical challenge, I was like feeling more confident about the trajectory of the game than I had been feeling. So yeah, it was very, very exciting to win. And then like I said before, I don't think we really used this time well. We knew we had time constraints in this game, and we didn't use the extra 20 minutes that we had to like start, thinking forward. Like we weren't talking about future alliances. We were just sort of like chit-chatting about like who they may be getting out and like what we might do with the merge, which is all like useless conversation if you don't have alliances. So very stupid on our part, I think.
All right. So that's pretty much all that happens. They clock that it could be Liam because of his injury, and Ella makes a funny comment that it is his a punishment for coming late.
For arriving late.
He did make us start maybe an hour and a half late. So
that is true.
I don't know. I don't think that had an impact on your decision at all, but
no, it did.
I thought it was a funny comment.
Well, a factor that did come into play behind the scenes was that, well, I guess we're not really talking about the decision that has been made, so maybe I shouldn't say anything.
You can talk about it.
Well, Liam does have to leave early to go to work, which it's a factor. Maybe not in this particular vote out, but it is indeed a factor.
It's something to take into account.
Because
if he's making it to final 3, then it's like, well, what are we
doing? If he's making the jury, then he's gonna have to stay to be on the jury.
To be fair, everyone was on the jury in this scenario. So
so Liam clearly isn't showing a lot of like willingness to want to play. He's kind of reluctant to even vote out Gabby. He's like, I guess I'll go with it just because that's the consensus. Meanwhile, CJ is kind of telling him what to do in terms of Gabby, but knows about the All Girls Alliance, which I think is interesting. Is that like a Caroline thing, or did you both talk to him about it?
I think that here's my theory, and I don't think that it was on camera at all, at least in this moment. But my theory is that Gabby and CJ were like communicating with each other this entire time and maybe just didn't film it. And I think that CJ is the one who told Liam about the All Girls Alliance. Either that, or he just like saw us all.
Liam doesn't know about it. I'm saying CJ knows about the All Girls Alliance.
Oh, okay. You know what? I think that I did tell CJ about the All Girls Alliance.
Okay. Because that's what Caroline reveals. And I was like, oh, interesting. But she says that the Bad Bitches only is the real alliance.
Yes.
Which you are also confirming.
Yes, that was how I felt. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting. Caroline just seems extremely well situated, at least in her confessional, talking about the All Girls Alliance. And then she also talks about how I think her, CJ, and Liam had a trio, and then she had Bad Bitches only. And that's kind of has her covered from all sides at this point. I mean, who knows how real the CJ because no one else talks about it, at least in this episode, but the Liam CJ Caroline alliance. But yeah, she seems like she's working the crowd.
Yeah, and she's also very quiet about it, which works to her. Something that makes Caroline such a good player, which we'll see as we move on, is that she's very good at taking in information without speaking or saying how she's feeling necessarily, which I think really works for her in this situation, because she can kind of easily slip into multiple alliances and be covered on all sides without having to do all that much rallying to get in that situation, which serves me well.
Yeah.
But
and something else interesting,
you're also in a good spot.
Yes.
With both alliances, like, and you're voting out the one person that you're not in an alliance with.
That is true. And
very true.
Well, I notice in CJ's confessional that he says that Allie went up to me and said that she wanted to get Gabby out, but I told her that we should get Liam out. And I think that he is right. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I originally wanted Gabby to go in this vote, because I thought that she was the biggest threat. And even though she's like very good with puzzles and a well-rounded competitor, I felt like we could exist without her, because I think that there were other people who also had those assets. And I thought that she was the biggest threat to my game. But I think at the end of the day, after talking to CJ about it, I really just didn't want Liam to get hurt. So I think that was a really big part of my thought process. But I do think originally my plan was for Gabby to go, and that's what I wanted to rally for, but that wasn't it.
All right, anything else before?
Well, I actually think, I just wanted to say that I think that you have the correct mode of thinking, because I actually think it would have been better for you guys to get Gabby out at this moment. Yeah, and I also,
it's super easy, because he would have, I mean, we're close friends. I do think that he would have gone with whatever the consensus was, and whatever, like, I was closest to him in that outside of the game.
He would have been good to keep around, as injury aside, and also the fact that he had to leave aside, because he's solely a team player. If he makes it the individual game, it's not really going to be that threatening. He's not going to be like doing a ton of scheming. So I think it would have been like an ideal situation to have him on your team. But obviously I understand the reason why he went. I also think it's interesting, as I wanted to say before, as we were saying before about the personal relationships outside the game, Caroline knows no one pretty much on your tribe at this time, and she's still playing the field.
Again, I am the person who is at this point, even though Caroline and I are not really close in any capacity, I'm the person who knows her best on this team, which is again why I felt kind of well situated, because I was like, oh, Caroline's an outsider, but she kind of knows me. All of her friends are on the other tribe, so she knows them pretty well, and like I felt like it would be a really good decision to align with her. In my head, Caroline was my number one ally. I don't know if I vocalized that in the first episode or in future episodes, but at that point in time, I was like, Caroline is number one for me. Gotcha. Which is interesting, because I wasn't close friends with her at all.
Yeah. I mean, the game, I think what we do need to learn about these games is real life relationships often are not reflected.
No,
sometimes they are.
100%.
Sometimes they are. Like Dom and Liz seemingly were going to work together. But we truly don't know what would have happened if it had gotten any further than round one. Okay, so we're moving to tribal. Obviously a little hard to hear because of the music. And I'm just like, I was watching this and I was thinking about how we're having this like very serious, sincere conversation about like this silly little game with the Jesus music playing in the background, and I thought that was very funny. Like,
really puts things into perspective.
Yeah, it was like a spiritual moment.
Yeah, and I felt closer to God.
I don't know what that was, but
I just want to say again how little you can hear anything that's happening.
You know what I did hear? I heard CJ blaming the wind.
Yeah.
For losing the challenge?
Yeah.
For the bandana challenge.
He was like, well, I just think we lost because I don't know if you guys saw, but sometimes the bandanas were blowing in the wind in their favor. And I don't know. And I was like, So does anyone else think that the wind is to blame? And even like Gabby's looking at him like, huh?
I thought maybe he was like doing a little jokey joke.
I think
Like,
he might be, but I think there
yeah.
was some sincerity to it.
But I thought it was funny.
You know
I
how
think
when
a little bit of
he gets on
sincerity,
one
yeah.
point and then he's like, "This is the truth. This is the objective truth of the situation. How can nobody else see this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
He talked himself into it. Like, I feel like he wasn't serious when he started, and then he like convinced himself he was serious
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
I also was laughing at everybody in normal sized chairs, and then you being in your baby chair.
My little baby chair, my low to the ground chair, which I loved. I loved so.
And Liam is fully blocking Caroline from view. You can't even tell she's there.
Yeah. And I asked a question, which to me felt like just like an obvious question, like, oh, will Liam sit out because of the injury? Do you think that that is going to be a concern moving forward? And I felt if it was a room, I would have felt the air suck out of it. And I was like, got it.
Yeah.
So Liam's going. Everyone was like, well,
Yeah.
yes, it's something to think about.
A factor, yeah.
That's
I do think in that
factor.
moment, yeah. And I felt so horrible because I think that it made Liam feel horrible. And I love Liam to death, and that was not the intention at all. But I genuinely was scared for him, and I also didn't want to like lie to him. Like we already kind of lied to him about who was getting voted out. Honestly, I don't even know why we did that. It's not like he was going to rally the votes to be in his favor.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I made it kind of clear that he was going home and how I was talking. And then CJ was like, well, you know, there are other things in consideration, like stamina, being able to run, stuff like that. And I was like, why are we pretending that he's not going
He's
home?
going to play an idol. He's going to play a shot in the dark.
He's going to play that idol that he definitely was looking for really hard. Yeah.
It felt like CJ was playing hard to a person that he didn't need to play hard to. It felt like that wasn't necessary. But you know,
I get it.
Yeah.
I do think that CJ wasn't like 100% like we need to get Liam out based on what I'm hearing. I think he might have gone for Gabby in a different world.
It's possible, yeah. To me it seemed like he was like, what do you mean? We gotta get Liam out. But I think that if I had pushed harder on it, it's possible that that would have been the outcome of the vote, which again probably would have been the right outcome of the vote for me. But,
yeah. I definitely think that I think there's a very, very like real possibility Gabby goes this round. I think that like it's pretty much like mostly external factors why Liam leaves, because I don't think anyone was worried about him coming out with like a sneaky alliance or anything. Like people weren't worried about that.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he also was feeling very anxious about the social aspect of the game. Like I think he would have.
I think there were so many factors going against him. It just it had to happen. Yeah. So we get to actually
it was ultimately the best decision.
We get to actually voting, and the camera is literally like
Dutch angle over here.
Like, I vote for blah blah blah. Which is funny because it is truly there's one camera being propped up by a cooler. So it got a little better. Just a cooler and a drink.
Yeah.
That's really all I had to say about that. Also Liam wrote in like a little baby. This small. I was like
in 0.11 font.
I was like, what is it? And we're watching like on
the skills of a baby. Like he had like baby-like handwriting. It was just like
I also wrote.
I guess babies probably would actually write big.
Yeah.
Big.
He'd be like, "God."
No, the words that he wrote were babies on the page.
Were little babies, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I also thought it was funny because I wrote that down too. Why did Liam write so small?
Yeah, so we get to the actual vote, and obviously you guys have been looking for idols, and now there is a confirmation that they exist. So that's worth noting. Liam gets voted out, obviously, and your baby chair breaks.
My baby chair breaks.
Yes.
The universe.
I don't know why you brought that chair. Everyone else is sitting in normal chairs.
Well, I didn't own a normal chair. I wasn't going to purchase a new chair for this excursion. My baby chair did me just fine for many years.
The budget
And
was $5.
honestly for voting Liam out.
It was instant karma.
Instant karma, yeah.
It literally,
It literally was like,
Liam, you are the first person of eliminated. It was like,
yep.
it like went with the music, like the done music, and then it was like breaks chair.
Correct. Yep.
And then you're like, bye, waving around the like little piece of chair.
Yeah, it's also funny because chairs in this game are your torches. They're like chairs are your life, where fire is your life in the original game. So that's like bad juju.
Really bad omen.
Yeah.
Really bad omen.
Yeah.
And maybe I was cursed, and maybe I'm still reaping the what's the opposite of benefits? The effects of that curse in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
The repercussions.
I think you might be.
Yeah. So something to think about, the chairs representing life in this game as we move forward in this process. But you know, at the end of the day, Liam is a really great sport about it. He seems bummed, obviously, as anyone would, but he still wants to see a Succulent win.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
Yeah, even though you guys betrayed him, he's still rooting for you.
I'm still rooting for.
And
I know. Go
ahead, because I'm gonna wrap
it up.
I
was just gonna say, I know that I mean, this is a spoiler for Skinny Atlas, but there's a little joke about a certain player being the kindest soul, and I actually do think that Liam is really the kindest soul.
He is the kindest soul.
Correct. And would agree.
All right, so we are going to wrap this up, but we need to crown our episode MVP.
Oh.
So, looking back on the episode, we will discuss who we think played the best game, at least in this episode. Whether or not it pans out is a different story. And then we'll crown the episode MVP. Our reigning champ is Ella from episode 1.
Congrats to Ella.
Rallying the troops on the dragon fruits, Ella was.
So yeah, let's talk about some options. I think that we did discuss some of them. Caroline's in a really good spot here.
That was my first thought.
Yeah.
My MVP, and we can see if we agree on this, is CJ.
That's fair.
I think that he is in a really great spot. The fact that he's in that Bad Bitches Only, that 3-person alliance.
Yeah.
But he still knows about the all girls. Like, his relationships are so good that you guys told him about it, I think is really good. And ultimately, like, he saves his wife.
Yeah.
Who we've stated is the better person to probably go here over Liam. But yeah, let's discuss.
Yeah, I think that those are who came to mind for me. And I would agree that I think that CJ did more work this episode in very, again, not on camera, but from my memory, in a very sly way, making sure that Gabby stays without letting on whether or not he has any interest in keeping her around because of their relationship. Because it wasn't really a concern to me, their marriage in this moment, because I was like, they're so competitive, they're gonna tear each other apart, you know. So I would agree with you about CJ. Jess, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I had originally was thinking mainly Caroline, just because I was impressed with her very subtle good spot that she was in. I think that if you're comparing CJ and Caroline, you could argue that CJ maybe is playing much harder, much quicker, which could, you know, lead to a mighty fall perhaps. But yeah, I won't argue with CJ as the MVP, because I think that he was probably number 2. I did want to maybe talk about, if we look at the dragon fruits, just because, you know, they weren't doing much, but I was impressed with Dylan's challenge performance.
Definitely.
As well. So I'll give him a shout out there.
Honorable mention to Dylan.
Honorable mention Caroline and Dylan. And our champion, our episode MVP, is CJ. Congratulations.
I can't wait for him to watch this. He'll be so on.
All right, and with that, we will sign off until next time.
Thanks for having me. I hope that I was an honorable Liam replacement.
Yeah, we'll see you again at some point.
Yes, well, it was the Irish. We needed someone of the same origin, you know. to replace him.
Yeah. All right. Until next time.